Hey guys, and thank you for joining. If you're watching the replay, this is Criminality Online, and I'm your host, The Crime Dame. I hope everyone is doing well. There's been a lot going on in the world, and there's been a lot going on in YouTube. There's two very important cases that's going on in the U.S. They're both going. Both trials are happening at the same time, so I've been kind of switching back and forth watching both. One of the cases happened here in Georgia, in Brunswick, Georgia, to be exact, and that's the case of Ahmaud Arbery, a 25-year-old African American man who was shot. And the second case is with Kyle Rittenhouse, and that case is happening in Wisconsin. Kyle is an 18-year-old young man who who's on trial for killing two individuals. He was 17 at the time, and his trial is going on now as well. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight, both those cases. So I'm sure everyone has heard of those cases, and that's going to be the subject of tonight, discussing the latest updates on both those cases. So once again, this is Criminality Online. Hey guys, we're back. I'm the Crime Dame, and this is Criminality Online. And the two cases that we're going to be discussing tonight are the cases of Ahmaud Arbery happening in Brunswick, Georgia, and the second case is the case going on with Kyle Rittenhouse in Wisconsin. Both of those are murder trials, and both of the in both the cases, the individuals are claiming self-defense in both those cases. So we're going to start off just giving us a brief introduction on or a highlight of the case with Ahmaud Arbery. For those of you who may not have heard of it, which I don't know anyone who hasn't, but just a brief update on a reminder of the case. On February 23rd, 2020, Ahmaud Marquez Arbery, an unarmed 25-year-old black man, was fatally shot after jogging near Brunswick in Glenn County, Georgia, United States. Arbery had been pursued by three white residents, Travis McMichael and his father, Gregory, who were armed and driving a pickup truck, and their neighbor, William Roddie Bryan, who followed Arbery in a second vehicle. As Arbery ran to the left in front of the pickup, he was confronted and shot by Travis McMichael as they engaged in each other. The Glenn County Police Department said the Brunswick District Attorney's Office advised them on February 23rd to make no arrests. The Brunswick District Attorney's Office denied that such advice was given to the GCPD by either the Brunswick District Attorney or her assistant district attorneys. On February 24th, Waycross Judicial Circuit District Attorney George Barnhill, who had not yet been assigned to the case, advised GCPD that no arrests should be made. Barnhill officially took over the case on February 27th. On April 2nd, Barnhill again advised the GCPD to make no arrests, which announcing his intention to recuse himself from the case due to connections between his son and Gregory Michael. They both knew each other, so he recused himself from the case. Barnhill requested recusal on April 7th. The case will ultimately transfer to the Cobb County District Attorney's Office, the fourth prosecutor's office, to handle it. At the behest of Gregory McMichael, a local attorney provided a copy of the video of the shooting to local radio station WGIG, who posted it to their website on May 5th. The video went viral, having also been posted on YouTube and Twitter. Within hours, District Attorney Tom Durden said a grand jury would decide whether charges would be brought, and accepted an offer from Governor Bryan to have Georgia Bureau of Investigation, GBI for short, to investigate the case. The GBI arrested the McMichaels on May 7th and Bryan on May 21st, charging them with felony murder and other crimes. On June 4th, additional evidence was presented by the prosecutor to support the charges, including a statement by the GBI for William Bryan and Travis McMichael for using a racial slur against Arbery while he was lying on the ground. A grand jury subsequently indicted each of the three men on charges of malice murder, felony murder, 4 counts, aggravated assault, 2 counts, false imprisonment, and criminal attempt to commit false imprisonment. In April 2021, all 3 men were indicted on federal charges of 1 count each of an interference with rights, a hate crime, which at the time that all of these incidents took place last year, there was no hate crime laws in the state of Georgia. So that has changed as of now. And 1 count each of attempted kidnapping, while the McMichaels were also charged with separate counts of using firearms during a crime of violence. In December 2019 and January 2020, residents of Satilla Shores reported 3 break-ins or thefts. On December 8, 2019, a Satilla Shores resident reported rifles stolen from the resident's unlocked car. Police recorded a theft on December 28, 2019. On January 1st, 2020, Travis McMichael filed a report of a firearm stolen from his unlocked truck. And on February 11, 2020, Travis called 911 to report a slender, 6'1", tall black man with short hair, wearing red shorts and white shirt, who was trespassing on the site of a house under construction. Travis said, "I've been seeing this guy before in the neighborhood." The dispatcher asked whether Travis was okay, and he said, "Yeah, it just startled me. When I turned around and saw him and backed up, he reached into his pocket and ran into the house. So I don't know if he's armed or not, but he looked like he was acting like he was. We've been having a lot of burglaries and break-ins around here lately," Travis said on the phone. He told the dispatcher that he was out in his truck and that as many as 4 neighbors were looking for the man. So this is what that the McMichaels were saying that allegedly that Ahmaud Arbery had been out in the neighborhood robbing and going through houses that were under construction. Under construction. So this is what they alleged, and this is why they claimed that they were out looking for him, because he had been through the neighborhood before, and that they had previous break-ins of cars in unoccupied houses that were under construction. So this was their reason to go out and look for him, because they said that he was the same person that had been going through those houses before. On February 23rd, in the minutes before the shooting, a security camera installed on a residence across the street from the house under construction recorded a man identified by his family as Arbery walking down the road and into the house. A second security camera installed within the house recorded a man, again identified as Arbery by his family, looking at the interior of the house. Approximately 5 minutes later, he left and resumed jogging down the street. After the man left the house, the first camera on the residence across the street showed a white pickup heading in the man's direction, followed a few minutes later by two police cars. Two calls to 911 were made just before the shooting. In the first, a then unidentified male caller said another man was in the house that was under construction. The 911 dispatcher asked if the man was breaking into it right now. The caller replied, "No, it's all open." After the caller said the man was now running down the street, the dispatcher said police would respond. So keep in mind, the dispatcher told him that the police would respond. Now, this sounds very familiar. This sounds a lot like the incident that happened in Florida with Trayvon Martin, when the 911 dispatcher told him that do not approach him, just leave it alone, don't follow him, that the police will be the one to respond. So this sounds very familiar. We're back on this same ordeal again. The dispatcher asks at 1:08 p.m., "I just need to know what he is doing wrong. Was he just on the premises and not supposed to be?" The caller responded, with some parts garbled, saying, "And he's been caught on camera a bunch at night. It's kind of an ongoing thing." The caller identified the man as a black guy with a white t-shirt. In the second call, beginning at 1:14 p.m., a male caller said, "I'm out here at Satilla Shores. There's a black male running down the street." The 911 dispatcher asked, where at Satilla Shores? The caller replied, "I don't know what the street we're on." The caller shouted, "Stop, watch that. Stop, damn it, stop." The dispatcher tried to speak to the caller, but did not receive a reply for several minutes. The caller later hung up. So that's where it all began. And it pretty much picks up at the video that went nationwide that everyone is familiar with now. And of course, I can't show that video here, but I'm sure many people have seen it. and they've shown it many times in court as well. And in the courtroom, they said video footage that was not shown to the public. And I think that it's going to be like a close-up view of what we didn't see there in the video. So that's the case with Ahmaud Arbery. And that case is ongoing now. So the next case is the case with Kyle Rittenhouse. So, of course, that case all began after the shooting of Jacob Blake. Jacob Blake was shot 7 times and was paralyzed by a police officer after they answered a 911 call. So there was a bunch of unrest that happened in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and there were many people protesting. There were some Black Lives groups protesting, and there were also some groups protesting who had nothing to do with Black Lives Matter or nothing to do with trying to make peace. They were just there. I call them rebel rousers, just to kick up dust and to get things started. So that's how everything started in the case in Wisconsin with Kyle Rittenhouse. On August 25th, 2020, amid the unrest in Kenosha, Wisconsin, after the police shooting of Jacob Blake, Kyle Rittenhouse, at that time he was 17 years old, underage, from Antioch, Illinois, fatally shot 2 white men and wounded another man in the arm during confrontations at 2 locations. He was armed with a semi-automatic AR-15 style rifle, and the individual wounded by Rittenhouse was armed with a handgun. Rittenhouse had said he was there to protect the car dealership from being vandalized and provide medical aid. So he said that he was an EMT, that he had been trained as an EMT, and that he was there to provide medical care for people who needed it there, and also to protect certain properties from being vandalized. At the first location, Rittenhouse was pursued by a group including Kenosha resident Joseph Rosenbaum. Rosenbaum was one of the victims of Kyle Rittenhouse. He was one of the victims who was fatally shot. A gunshot was fired into the air by a third party. And according to a witness, an unarmed Rosenbaum lunged at Rittenhouse and attempted to take his rifle. This is according to Rittenhouse. Rittenhouse fired 4 times at Rosenbaum, shooting him in the groin, the hand and thigh, the head and his back, with a fractured pelvis and perforated liver and right lung. Rosenbaum died shortly afterwards. At the second location, after Rittenhouse tripped while fleeing, and this is all on video, he fired twice at an unidentified man who had jump kicked him. Protesters approached Rittenhouse while he was still on the ground, and Silver Lake resident Anthony M. Hubert struck Rittenhouse with a skateboard and struggled for control of the rifle. Rittenhouse fired at Hubert once, fatally shooting him in the chest. West Allis resident Gage Groscross, a licensed paramedic who said he thought Rittenhouse was an active shooter, approached Rittenhouse while pointing a handgun at him. Rittenhouse shot him once in the arm, severing Groscross' bicep muscles. So that's the case with Kyle Rittenhouse. And after that incident, Kyle left the scene and he went back to his house. Well, there's a video footage of him throwing up his hands briefly while he's still armed. And he said that the police told him to just go ahead and leave the scene because they were unaware at the time that he had just shot those people. So Rittenhouse was arrested and charged with unlawful possession of a firearm, 2 counts of homicide, and 2 counts of reckless endangerment. A 19-year-old man was arrested and charged with unlawfully supplying Rittenhouse with the rifle. A 36-year-old man was charged with disorderly conduct using a dangerous weapon and arson after admitting he fired the initial shot in the air. Rittenhouse's attorney said he acted in self-defense upon hearing firearm discharge and in response to the physical confrontations from protesters. Public sentiment and media coverage of the shooting was polarized. The trial for Rittenhouse is ongoing at this time, and his case started on November 1st, 2021. So those are the 2 cases going on at this time. And there has been a lot of talk lately about the Ahmaud Arbery case. One of them in particular is his attorney. There's been a lot of talk of some statements made by the attorney of Roddie Bryan. His attorney is Kevin Gough, and he made some very crazy statements this week. And let me play a video of what he said. Let me share my screen.
What's your response to that, Ben?
Let me play this other video.
This morning, Playboy attempted to apologize, but it fell way short. For more, I'm joined now.
Sorry.
Close eye on. One in Wisconsin, there's a trial of Kyle Rittenhouse, who shot and killed 2 people and wounded a third during protests after the death of Jacob Blake in Kenosha, Wisconsin last year. In Georgia, there is the trial of 3 white men accused of murdering Ahmaud Arbery, a 25-year-old black man who was hunted down and killed last year while he was out for a jog. And in Virginia, there is a civil case underway against neo-Nazi and white nationalist groups that organized the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville in 2017. You guys remember that rally ended in violence with the killing of Heather Heyer. Central to all these cases is race and racism in this country, something we're seeing play out inside the courtroom itself. Yesterday, a defense attorney in the Arbery case had the temerity to object to the presence of Reverend Al Sharpton, or actually any black pastor for that matter, in the courtroom, saying that it could intimidate the jury.
The idea that we're going to be serially bringing these people in to sit with the victim's family one after another, obviously there's only so many pastors they can have. And if their pastor's Al Sharpton right now, that's fine, but then that's it. We don't want any more black pastors coming in here, or other Jesse Jackson, whoever was in here earlier this week, sitting with the victim's family, trying to influence the jury in this case. I'm asking the court to take appropriate steps to make sure that the gallery, which is already limited in this case, isn't being utilized for a purpose that could be viewed as improper. If a bunch of folks came in here dressed like Colonel Sanders with white masks sitting in the back, I mean, that would be correct.
Yeah, this morning, Playboy attempted to apologize, but it fell way short. For more, I'm joined now by the amazing Reverend Al Sharpton, host of MSNBC's Politic Nation, president of National Action Network, that just celebrated their 30-year anniversary, and my friend and big brother. Rev, I'm so happy to have you here. I'm so sorry you were subjected to that loony man's comments. But I want to start out and just ask you, how is Mrs. Arbery doing? Because we all saw her break down in court when she had to bear witness to see her son murdered for the first time. It was difficult to watch. You spoke with her and spent time with her. How are her spirits?
Her spirits are strong. She's a very spiritual woman, but clearly her and the father are going through what is an unbelievable, painful experience. To sit in the courtroom on a daily basis with 3 men that killed their son, only in as far as I can see, because of the color of his skin, and to sit behind their family, and now to be told they can choose who can sit with them. According to the court, they can bring in 1 person each, and they chose to invite me. They came. I preached in Georgia about 3 weeks ago. They both came, stood before the press, and invited me to come. I'd been working with them and their attorneys since the killing. And to all of a sudden make an issue. They brought others since the trial started, but when I came, all of a sudden it became an issue. And notice what they're saying, Tiffany, that my presence could intimidate or influence the jury. Well, what is that supposed to mean? How many cases have we seen of police-related cases where policemen stacked the courtroom in uniform? We sat on the back row of the court, having no disruption. How is that influencing and intimidating anyone other than the same way those 3 men are on trial, feeling that Mr. Arbery was in somehow intimidating, walking through a construction area that is building a house? It is blatant racism, and his so-called apology today said if someone was offended, like not even recognizing the blatant racism of his statement that I don't want any more black pastors. Well, we're going to bring Trinity there next Thursday, the 18th, because I'm coming back, and there's going to be a lot of ministers with us for a prayer vigil to stand with this mother and father to say they're not alone.
let it be known the doors of the church are open in Georgia when you return. Happy to hear it. You know what's a lot scarier, Rev, than black pastors? 3 white men chasing you down with a gun. I want you to take a listen to the 911 call from the gentleman who called the authorities when he allegedly saw Ahmaud Arbery in the house. We'll talk about it on the other side.
There's a guy in the house right now. It's a house under construction.
Okay, do you have your address or the other house's address?
Right at 219 or 220 Statilla Drive.
And you said someone's breaking into it right now?
No, it's all open. It's under construction. And he's running right now. There he goes right now.
Okay, what is he doing?
He's running down the street. Oh,
okay.
Back into the...
Okay, that's fine. I'll get them out there. I just need to know what he was doing wrong.
What was he doing wrong, Rev? As we see this twin justice system play out this week, you have to ask yourself, who deputized these people? Law enforcement. And that's the problem so often, Rev. You just want to send a message, mind your business. You are not deputized law enforcement over everybody. What's the mother saying as she hears this testimony play out? They were even described Ahmaud Arbery as a colored fella in the house.
Well, she said to the media that it is unbelievable to hear this and to think that her son was killed by these people. They didn't even want to arrest them until the tape came out. And we had began working with them. Both the mother and father had even been on Politics Nation with me before the tape showed exactly what happened, because we understand, you must remember, Tiffany, almost 10 years ago next March, Trayvon Martin was killed the same way by a self-appointed a person that wanted to take the law in his own hand and killed Trayvon, saying he was doing something wrong. We've got to stop this, and we have to make sure these courts do not tell who can stand with people when they have had a loved one killed. We're not going to stand for it. Thursday the 18th, we'll be back, and we'll be back strong.
And interesting thoughts considering the role that white conservative evangelicals play in promoting some of the domestic terrorism that we've seen. The data bears it out. Look it up. Thank you so much, Reverend Al Sharpton. And please be safe when you travel back down there to Georgia on November 18th, and we'll be in touch.
So you heard that. November the 18th, they will be back in Georgia. And in addition to our Reverend Al Sharpton, there will be plenty more Black pastors that will be coming with them. So I'm sure he's really going to have a connection once he sees the force that's going to be coming here to Georgia in support of Ahmaud Arbery's family. And this is another story that was on the BNC network concerning with the same story. This is some of the commentary that they had about the comments about the black pastors' comments. Give me 1 second to share this video as well. I thought this was a good one also. Okay, here we go.
I'm Yuri Tawalde. The trial of 3 men accused of killing Ahmaud Arbery has the nation's attention tonight. Divisive and call racists made by one of the defense attorneys sparked outrage on social media. Now those comments have prompted Black pastors from across the country to make plans to head to Georgia. BNC's Dre Clark has the latest from Brunswick tonight.
When defense attorney Kevin Gough made those incendiary comments in the courtroom on Thursday, it upset not only people who were sitting in the courtroom, but also here in the community and all across the country. Before the jury was brought in, defense attorney Kevin Gough addressed the court.
And my apologies to anyone who might have inadvertently been offended.
Gough's entire mea culpa lasted close to 30 seconds. It was far less than the 3 minutes he spent in court Thursday, claiming Reverend Al Sharpton's recent appearance in the courtroom with the Arbery family intimidated jurors. But it's what he said next that made eyes roll and mouths drop.
Obviously, there's only so many pastors they can have. And if their pastor's Al Sharpton right now, that's fine, but then that's it. We don't want any more Black pastors coming in here.
Almost immediately, Gough's words went viral, trending quickly on social media. Ben Crump saying in the tweet, "It's not illegal for Black pastors to support the parents of Ahmaud Arbery." Going on to say, "We are going to bring 100 Black pastors to pray with the family next week." The other defense attorneys who sit next to Gough in court also found his words offensive.
It's a ridiculous comment.
And when we try approaching Gough,
Do you think what you said yesterday was racist in any way?
What I say in court, I say in court.
he was deflective and reluctant to speak with us. But no one was more offended than Wanda Cooper Jones, Ahmaud Arbery's mother.
What Gough said yesterday was very insensitive. I don't see how anyone could see Al Sharpton's presence as being something that was negative.
The first full week of testimony concluded with prosecutors calling more law enforcement to testify. Prosecutors say Gregory and Travis McMichael, along with William Bryan, murdered Ahmaud Arbery because they thought he was a black criminal. The 3 men have pleaded not guilty, claiming Arbery's killing was self-defense. Next week, we're expecting black pastors from all across the country to make the trip here to Brunswick, Georgia, to sit and to pray with Ahmaud Arbery's family, and also to send a message to defense attorney Kevin Gough that they are here and there's absolutely nothing he can do about it. Court resumes on Monday morning. In Brunswick, Georgia, I'm Dre Clark for Making the Case.
Later in the show, I talked to a religious leader about the impact of those statements and how the faith community is rallying to support the Arbery family. But here to give this week's headlines a legal spin are my panel of experts, veteran prosecutor and BNC's legal contributor, Paul Henderson, and criminal defense attorney, Latoya Francis Williams. All right, guys, let's get started. The comments made by William Bryan's attorney, Kevin Gough, yesterday, and the backlash he's getting today. Let's watch a clip of that right now.
Meet Mac. Now she uses HoneyBook to keep her looking professional. HoneyBook is mission control for Mac's business. We're talking invoices, contracts, and payments all in one place.
Extensions are expensive as and falsies fall off. Meet Glamnetic. Game-changing magnetic lashes and liners that simplify your beauty routine and bring out your baddest self. Just line, magnetize, and boom! Your lashes are fire. With more styles, colors, and kits than any other brand. For every eye shape, mood, and personality. Click the link! Take our quiz. Even try before you buy. With 6 comfortable supercharged magnets, paraben and latex-free liner, and optional anchors to keep your lashes on lockdown. From beauty newbies to makeup gurus, Glamnetic is for everyone and every occasion. See what all the hype is about at glamnetic.com.
there's only so many pastors they can have. And if their pastor's Al Sharpton right now, that's fine, but then that's it. We don't want any more black pastors coming in here or other Jesse Jackson.
I got you, Paul. But William Bryan specifically has had to deal with his lawyer's reckless mouth. I mean, even the lawyer representing one of the McMichaels called Gough's comments asinine and wanted to make clear that neither he or his client agreed with what he said. What is your reaction to his statements?
Well, thank you. First of all, why would you raise that issue about how many pastors they can have? And I'll come back to the they in a moment. But secondly, how dare you raise that issue in the context of race? Are you kidding me? To raise that issue in this case and in this trial is so offensive. And I hope it was offensive to everyone in the jury as well, everyone in that courtroom, so that they see that this case translates into an offensive race case once again. It was so offensive, but the question that I raised that I wanted to know is, who is the they? Are you talking about black people? How dare you speak for the community that you know nothing about? And how dare you present it in court as an adoptive admission, as if you are the authority that gets to speak for white people about what's allowed in a courtroom that's not your courtroom, in a case that's about race that you, sir, are on the wrong side of. Sit down. I'm offended. I'm irritated. I'm frustrated. It goes without saying, there's no legal analysis here because it doesn't rise to the level of legal analysis because it's pure ignorance, it's pure bigotry, and it's pure racism. And that's all it is. So I'll just leave it at that.
LaToya, he said black pastors. Your thoughts?
He said black pastors, and you know, sometimes we like to think you don't want to dignify ignorance with a response, but this certainly deserves a response. It is clear that this attorney spoke from his heart. He said what he meant, and he meant what he said. But the message that we should take is this. We cannot forget that Ms. Jones is a survivor of homicide. Her child was murdered at the hands of 3 white men. That's the bottom line. What is clear, however, is that the underlying reason for the murder was race and race related, and that counsel for the defendants, and I say plural, because even if they are outraged today, no one said anything at the time in question. Many times when we are in court, the right time and the right time to say something, either object or to join in emotion, is immediately. Not to let any time pass, but it has to be contemporaneous. So the reality is, this attorney said what he meant, and he meant what he said. They don't want black people in that courtroom. They know the power in numbers. They know the power in the Negro spiritual. They know the power in support from the community. And they'd like to pretend that keeping us away from the courtroom is somehow going to give their clients some leverage. That's not going to happen.
I totally agree what the female attorney said, that they do not want black people in the courtroom, as well as they did not want black people in that town. And that's part of the reason why they pursued Ahmaud, because of all those reasons. And it's really crazy to me that the attorney, Kevin Gough, would actually bring up something and be specific about black pastors when this whole trial is sort of based on Ahmaud Arbery being black and that those perpetrators, that I like to call them, are white. So you're just pretty much solidifying what everybody has been saying all along about this whole case being about race. So we're going to see what's going to happen when all of the black pastors come to town on the 18th. So one of the reporters used the word mea culpa. And I looked up the word mea culpa, which it means an acknowledgement of one's fault or error. So Mr. Gough's supposed little weak ass apology for bringing up the issue about the pastors was really weak to me, and it didn't seem genuine at all. I guess you can say he said what he said the first time, and what he said the first time, that's what he meant. So that's pretty much the only apology that we're going to get about that. So let's go on to the Kyle Rittenhouse case. So with the Kyle Rittenhouse case, there has been a lot of people going back and forth about the video that came out about Kyle Rittenhouse when he took the stand, which I was really surprised that he actually took the stand in his own defense. And he's pretty much once again saying he's innocent, that he was trying to defend himself because that the other three guys that he shot were chasing him down, and that he feared for his life, and that's why he felt that he had to shoot them. Which one of the young shot, he wasn't armed at all, he just had a skateboard, but Kyle said that he did hit him several times with the skateboard. So I guess that goes to, if you want to say that a skateboard can be used as a weapon. So that's what he said he was doing, that he was pretty much defending himself. So when he took the stand in his defense, he was, I guess, crying pretty heavily. But a lot of people have been going back and forth saying that they don't believe that he was genuine and that those were crocodile tears. So let's go to the video showing him on the witness stand and the video of him crying, and you be the judge of if you think that those tears were real or if they were crocodile's tears. Sean, give me 1 second. Okay, there it is. So in response to that video of Kyle crying on the witness stand, LeBron James has come under some fire for tweeting out that he didn't believe that that Kyle was actually crying, and truly you don't see any tears coming from his eyes. It's kind of like when those kids, when you take your kids to the store and they're having a temper tantrum about something that they see in the store that they want, and you tell them they can't have it, and they fall out in the store, and like they're crying, kicking and screaming on the floor, but there's no tears coming out. So this is what LeBron James tweeted out. What tears? I didn't see one. Man, knock it off. That boy ate some lemon heads before walking into court. That was pretty funny. So King James doesn't believe that that Kyle was really serious with those crocodile tears, so he says. So you be the judge. What do you think? Do you think that Kyle was serious and that he was really, I guess, really expressing what he was feeling the night that he shot those 3 individuals? I guess we'll find out, because according to Kyle, he was acting in self-defense, and he was trying to keep from being shot himself. So that's why he felt like he had to shoot those gentlemen. But we'll find out. So far, I guess at the end of this week, his attorneys rested their case. So I guess they should be coming up with a verdict maybe like next week or the next coming weeks. We'll see what the outcome is going to be in that case. So that's just a brief little wrap up of what's been going on with the cases. Those were the 2 biggest highlights from those cases, or the 2 big explosive things that happened in those cases were the comments with in the Ahmaud Arbery case, and Kyle Rittenhouse taking a stand and crying on stand in his own defense. So if you're familiar with those cases, and if you've seen any of it, just let me know your thoughts on what you think about the cases. With the Ahmaud Arbery case, I did stream some of the case live on, I think that was on Wednesday's live. I did stream that, so you can go back and watch that video if you haven't seen that video. I think I streamed like 2 hours of it, and to just watch it to get caught up, to see what you think about the case and what do you think the outcome is going to be from what you've seen in the case so far. So that's going to be it for me tonight, guys. And if you're watching this on the restream, just let me know what you think about those 2 cases. And once again, excuse me, this has been Criminality Online, and I'm your host, The Crime Dame. I hope you all have a good night, and always remember to watch your backs out there.